Erik Olson's joining me today from Safe and Soft Carpet Cleaning. Erik, how are you?
Great, Joe. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much. So we talk about carpet cleaning a lot, but people have upholstery as well. You can do that. You can clean the upholstery and the carpet. And if you can at the same time.
Absolutely. So, a lot of times they are cleaned very similarly, depending on the method that is used. However, upholstery can be a little bit more complicated to clean than the carpet because the upholstery fabric makeup, the textiles that make up upholstery, are different than carpeting. Whereas you may have a blend of fibers, a blend of different materials in upholstery. Carpeting is typically one that you're cleaning on the surface. So, like with upholstery, for example, you may have a cotton with a synthetic fiber, or like a nylon or a polyester. Or you may have like a wool. There are all sorts of blended fibers. So for carpet cleaning, we can do carpet and upholstery cleaning. We can do what's called a burn test so that we can identify the fiber so that we know how we clean it or how we're supposed to clean it, what kind of chemistry we're supposed to be using so that we don't damage the materials, and that we can get those soils to release. It's harder to do a burn test for upholstery because you've got a mixture of fibers. So the burn may not do or identify exactly what's in the upholstery, if that makes sense. So like a wool will burn differently than a polyester or a nylon will. There's different smells. The reason we do a burn test is because the flame or the material or the smell will be different for each material. And so upholstery, that's just so hard because it's all mixed together. But anyways, getting into more burn tests than anything. Upholstery, we do have specially formulated cleaners for upholstery, depending on if it's a sensitive natural fiber like wool or cotton, or if it's a synthetic fiber like nylon, polyester, olefin, things of that nature. Most upholstery these days, unless it's super like a high end, which obviously we do too, is most upholstery is going to be a synthetic these days, so like polyester, and so most of the time we can use a pretty aggressive cleaner, especially if it's very heavily soiled. Upholstery, by the way, should be cleaned just like carpet. It's a filter in your home because it's a fiber, it's a fabric. But it should be cleaned probably every 2 years. So maybe not as often as your a carpet, but it should be cleaned regularly, and it should be vacuumed too. Most people don't actually vacuum their upholstery, unless you have like a maid cleaning service that comes and vacuums your upholstery. But that will make a noticeable difference, just like when you vacuum your carpet, in terms of maintaining your upholstery and how well it holds up, because they get these soils in there, and then those kind of grind down the material, and it lasts longer. It's always fun when we clean upholstery to see what we can find in there. What kind of change you can find, toys and whatnot. Especially if we lift the couch and move it somewhere else, we find all this stuff underneath. It's interesting when we go over that with a client, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I had no idea that there was this whole treasure trove," if you call it that. Most of the time it's just trash, but
yeah,
it's just
no,
the stuff that gets hidden, especially if you have kids, all the toys, or
when you have
candy
kids,
wrappers,
there's a lot
popcorn
of
kernels.
plastic stuff. When you have kids, there's always one or two jigsaw puzzle pieces. There's a couple
Yep.
pennies, a dime, and a nickel,
Yep.
and but just all kinds of little plastic. It's usually just little plastic stuff, and of course, dust bunnies. And so, with upholstery, when it's not clean, it changes color over time, but it's so gradual we don't see the difference. But then when all of
Yep.
a sudden you start cleaning the arm of the chair or the couch, you're like, whoa, wait a second. I forgot. It was closer to white than brown.
Yeah.
Now it's a dark,
Yeah.
creamy brown.
Yeah. We just did one the other day. I cleaned a couch the other day, and they were wondering whether the spots would come out. Oh no, that's been there so long. I don't think that'll come out. It was just heavy soiling right on the armrests, where we put our hands, or maybe where we rest our head, or the seat. Those are typically the most soiled areas of the couch. And honestly, we just had to use a more aggressive cleaner. It cleaned right out. So it, again, like anything else, the way it's maintained, the longer it will last. Or if it's maintained well. And we typically use, now we can use a low moisture option for upholstery, but we can also do, most often we're doing like a hot water extraction, water extractions, where we spray the cleaner on, scrub it with a brush, and then we extract it with water and a vacuum tool, an upholstery tool that's extracting that. Upholstery does take longer to dry because of what it's made of, a lot of times, because it likes to hold on to that moisture. So it may take 2 to 3 hours, as opposed to with our cleaning process, 1 hour for carpet cleaning. But it also just depends on how we're cleaning those materials. Some sensitive natural fibers need to use a low moisture process so that they are not yellowing out. So if you're using like a natural fiber, those will, and if you use too high of a pH, too high of an alkaline cleaner, had that before, where people have brought us pieces where some cleaner has used too high of a pH, too high of an alkaline, and it's yellowed out the piece of furniture.
Yeah.
And so they're like, well, can you fix this? And we're like, it'll take some time, but yes, we can fix that. We can correct that and bring it back to its natural color, because of those natural fibers that are, call it, the technical term is cellulosic browning. That's just a very scientific term, but it's just an indicator that a cotton has got those natural pigments from growing those cotton seeds, and it's going to release that when an aggressive cleaner is used. So treating it appropriately is very, very important.
Okay, everybody, you've got to get a hold of Erik and his team at Safe and Soft Carpet Cleaning. All of his information is located in the description of this podcast. Thanks, Erik. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe.